You need to move over here somewhere. Since you forgot your hair now. No, I want you over here so I can yell at you.
So you don't have to yell at me.
I'll yell at you over there.
Sarah,
Ma'am.
when she finishes.
Okay. All right.
You okay?
Okay. Diane has handed you stuff that I'll get here where you can hear me. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay. We worked real hard to get to the 100th anniversary of the church. And when we got there, the evidence of the difficulties we were going to face, the extreme parts of it were going to come this next year, first part of 25. That one, let me see that piece of paper right there. This one, that one there, that is 6-year digest. When I started in 2018, that were the numbers. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I have to shift gears, get my education up to gear. Anyway, you can see changes that have taken place. Then in the other part, the reality that come next February, we will not have money in the bank to pay our insurance policy. Now, insurance policies, and I've checked with other pastors, and this is how the insurance company does it. If a state or a city has had constant claims due to weather, and we have had ice storms. Last year we had 3 hailstorms. We've had tornadoes that have whooped through the area. All of those things impact the whole area, and so the insurance company will raise everybody's rate in a certain zip code. Ours went from a little over $20,000. It had gone up from that when I started in 18. What was the number it was?
It was less than 20,000.
Yeah, it was 14, 15, what, something like that.
so.
So it's gradually crept up. This time, it went from 20,000 something to 26,600 something. And we have been paying that every quarter, which is 6,000 something dollars. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we have paid our premium 1st of September, $6,600. Thankfully, we had money in an account that was going to be transferred over, and it covered that insurance bill. Then the next one will come up in December. $6,600, and that will carry us through the end of February. The way things are looking right now, estimating what things will be by looking at what has happened, we will not have money enough at the end of the month of February to pay the next quarterly bill for the insurance company. part of the reason for that, if you'll see on another page, we've had 22 deaths in our church since I've been here, since 2018. Everybody we lost were good, faithful people. They were here all the time. And their financial support made the difference. Well, that's all gone. We had anticipated possibly that the church would benefit through wills and estates and such, but that hadn't happened. That did not happen. Which left us with 22 good, supporting members gone, and not only their presence, but then their support, which just put us in a hole. What I wanted to do is to bring you up to speed on this so that you would know, well, what happened, why, and that's it. Life has happened, death has come, things have gone up, and our revenue has gone down. Since 2018, when I started, I think there's only been just a few months in that whole period of time that we have been in the black, that our income was enough to cover the outgoing. The majority of the time, we would spend a couple of thousand more, about that,
Between
more
3
than
to
what
4,000.
we take in, 2 to 4,000. A lot of it had to be every time when it got hit hard is when that quarterly payment came due, and things would settle back out. But it's getting harder and harder to do that. All the reserves are pretty well gone. Diane, you might want to identify. I don't have. Well, I got Dave's right here, but you're more familiar with the pages and what we need to.
Well, they have the business meeting statement that we did last week, and the 6-year digest is what they have.
Okay, that's, anyway, what I wanted you to know is that at some point, we're going to be faced with some decisions that are going to be tough to make. We have wrestled with air conditioner situations. It seemed like every month we had an air conditioner that had to be dealt with, and we cobbled together the big unit, the 40-ton unit, to get us to the 100th anniversary, and we made it, but we had to pay to have this done to it, that done to it, the Freon that goes in it. What's it run, Bobby? A 25-pound? $700 for a small little canister of Freon, and ours uses 2 of them. Our problem was it leaks. That's been the problem we've had. And you think, boy, let's put some Band-Aids or put some chewing gum or something, find the leaks. Well, Hank has been working with us, and he has found several of the main leakers. There's still others because of the way that thing is built. Put in this building in 1953. And the coil on it, if you haven't ever seen it, you need to go look at it. It's 8 foot long and 3 foot tall and about a foot wide, like a huge radiator is what best way to understand what it is. Circulating, well, it's just copper tubes and soldered joints, and after 70 years, copper tubes and soldered joints and other joints wear out, and the Freon starts leaking out. That happened, I think, what was that, 4 years ago when we had that first time it just shut out completely. We had it looked at. And so, anyway, what I wanted to give you an opportunity for is to talk and ask questions and give us your feelings and feedback on what the future of our church is going to look like. We really have only two basic options. One is to stay here in this building and figure out how to pay the bills and make the repairs and so forth. What's hanging over our head right now is the claim we have against Brotherhood Mutual, our insurance company, for the repair on the building due to the hail storms that passed through last year. I think I was correct, there were 3 different hailstorms that happened. Now, we're facing the same thing Jim's facing. Your house was pretty well beat up through the hailstorm, didn't it?
Yeah.
Have they fixed it yet?
No, I'm soon.
And, and so it doesn't look like they're going to.
Story of insurance company.
Yes. So we've got that to deal with, and to think, okay, well, if they fix it and say everything is fine, everything is fixed, the building is still 100 years old, and the roof won't be the problem anymore, but the residue of the damage that has happened to the roof, you've seen it everywhere. There's water marks and water lines in the auditorium and in the Sunday school rooms and such. At some point in time, they need to be fixed. So we look at that, and this is a unique building for the whole state of Arkansas. I don't think there's another one that's exactly like this. And so we think, how can we stay here? That's a question to ask. What would we have to do to be able to stay and pay the bills and keep the lights on and the insurance paid and so forth and so on? My vision, I'd love to see our children's ministry expanded. I'd love to see ministries for our kids, the teenagers, and some more ministry going on that I'd like to see happen. But the problem we have is that we're landlocked. There's not anything we can do to add on any facilities. We're just stuck. Before we could use some of the rooms, that had to be redone. They're in that bad a shape. But before we do inside work, the outside's got to be fixed. You know, it's just, you think you got an idea and it kicks you in the shin on the other leg, and you think, okay, I have to try this, and then it get a kick in the other shin. It's just where we are and what we're having to deal with. The other option that is a possibility, it's not the favorite in thinking, but the only thing we have of value is this building, this lot that it sits on. We are technically in downtown Hot Springs. I don't know how much square footage we have in the building and in the parking lot, but our greatest asset is the building and the grounds. So the question would be, well, would it be feasible to look at the possibility of selling the building and starting over? One question has to be answered, and that is, do we want to remain Central Baptist Church? Do we want to keep functioning in whatever situation we find ourselves in? Because, remember, the church is not this building, the church is you guys. And for the most part, our active membership is here right now. There's a few that are absent, but mostly right here. That's where we're down to. I was telling Jerry during lunch, I said, this church back in its heyday was the largest church in Hot Springs. Well, time brings change, and churches moved out of downtown, and the city has changed, and such of that nature. So that would be one thing, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if the church remains the church. Doesn't matter where we meet, we still function. Well, my thought was, well, if we decided to do that and sold the building, would it realize us enough funding to relocate, buy another piece of property, and still have money left over? Well, I don't know. I'm at a loss on that part. What would be my dreaming about this, and this has been going on now for a couple of months. I'm waking up at 4 in the morning and I'm flopping like a carp on the line. I'm just trying to figure what to do and how to go and what's our answer, and I got nothing. We could say, well, sell the building, but you got to have a buyer. No, we hadn't even begun to pursue that. This is just the conversation about it. But if we, say we vote, okay, we're going to sell the building. Well, you vote to sell somebody, and Jim could tell you, you got a piece of property for sale, but not everybody wants to buy it, right? Do you still have one you're trying to sell?
Pardon?
Do you still have a piece of property you're trying to sell?
It's in Arizona though.
Oh. Anyway, you'd think in Hot Springs, property would move, particularly in the downtown area, but you just don't know. So we haven't pursued that, and we want to be careful about that. But I'm not worried about what would happen to another church. I'm concerned about what will happen to us. And my feeling is if we all are together on this and we stay together as a body and we make a decision together as a body, then we'll be able to function. But I looked at it and said, if we could get a buyer to buy it, that would give us enough money to put a significant amount back, use some to buy a piece of property, and then add ministries to the church that allow us an opportunity to grow and reach our community in numbers of different ways. And that would be one way to do it. That's one way. I know it had been discussed some time ago about just giving the church building property to the state convention and let them handle it. Well, what the state normally does is when they get a property, if they can retool it and turn it to a new startup, then that's normally what they do. It becomes a new church in the same location, but it's all together different. Some do that. But my feeling is because the age of our building and the problems that it still has, I don't think the convention would want to take the building with the amount of money that's got to go into it to fix it where you can use all of it. Right now, we use this floor this fellowship hall, the upper fellowship hall, part of the rooms on this side, none on this side. Second floor, we use the first little section there with the nursery and the classes and the two on the end where the closed ministry was and is going to be again. And then the office area, and that's all we use. The whole third floor, the only time we use it in the last couple of years is when you scheduled
Birthday parties.
birthday parties. And the room up there, that youth room is set up, it works real fine. The air conditioner works up there, but that's the only room on the third floor, that whole third floor that is being used. So it's just a dilemma. It's a dilemma what to do. So I see, how's the Lord how's he gonna answer this? Well, I don't know. I'd say, well, the Lord could drop on us here with a gift of something that would help us do the repairs that we need to do, and then add ministries that we need to add. I'd like to see our staff increase, but we can't do it. We have to have money to hire staff that can work with children and work with youth and do other things. And it just becomes one of those things happen. Or you bite the bullet and sell it and take the proceeds and basically start over again someplace. How? The where, I have a clue.
That's what you think about?
You'll blow them out?
Yeah. Can I interject a couple ideas?
Okay.
Look at our country. You're facing hard times. Your cost of living, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, across the board in the past 2.5 years has gone up 25%. Your cost of living has gone up 25% in the past 2.5 years across the board. You just look at gasoline prices, your cost of living, everybody's has gone up 25%. Because gas has gone up 50%. Our location was great when this church was built, probably up through the 60s and 70s, because all the homes around this church were the petitioners of this church. In the 25 years I've been a member of this church, most people have had to come from somewhere else, from Hot Springs Village, the other side of the lake, to commute into town. Other people, as this church grew, or the youth grew, they moved somewhere where their jobs were, they left, or they went to the more trendy churches that entertained them versus just preaching the word. Sort of where I'm going and rambling with this in an idea is co-workers that I work with. In frustrations, I made a comment, look at the world, the direction our world, the country's going in right now. I think someday our church is going to be a soup kitchen. And I stopped and thought about that. It's work. First of all, I don't know if we're allowed as a church to do anything that would say you could do to make a profit, since we're a non-for-profit situation, to use to pay for our debts. But look at where we're sitting right now. We have this monster of a kitchen in there. We've got this area in here, and just off the cuff. I don't know if it's something you're allowed to do or not. There are people in this state right now that are having to give up their prescription drugs to put food on the table and pay their utilities. This is not going away anytime soon, folks. Regardless of what political persuasion you have, the world is escalating into World War III. The next 5 to 10 years of your life is literally going to be changed. If a 10th of the population of Hot Springs tomorrow couldn't put food on the table, what could we do to minister to that need that would not only meet a physical need, but possibly reach out a spiritual need? When I was flying into Queen, Arkansas, a population of about 3,000 people, they have a monstrous Baptist church down there. 13 years ago when I was working down there, it was filled to capacity for 2 morning services. The first Saturday of every month, they opened the doors and gave away 200 bags of groceries. People would show up on that Saturday, they would come through. deacons would meet them, hand out tracts, minister, share with them everything the church had to offer as far as, the youth activities and everything. But there was no place to park. I was a helicopter pilot flying down there. I would show up at church and there's no place to park today. Now the groceries and everything, I'm sure were donated. It was a free type thing. But look, just off the top of my head, let's say we turned ourselves into a soup kitchen and gave 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, or just lunch, 5 days a week. And just hypothetically, it costs us $2.50 and we charge a $5 plate. Because nobody else is going to be able to eat anywhere in town for less than $10 to $20 a piece. First of all, can we do that legally?
No.
Second of all,
No.
okay, so that's it. Okay, well, I don't know, that's why I was asking, is there anything a church is allowed to do as a church to raise money, other than donations? Okay, so, well, all right, that being said, since you can't, okay, let's say you can't do that,
They have free
but I do know, when I was a kid, I went to a Baptist church on a Wednesday night when they had choir meetings, and I remember it was in Alabama. There was a bunch of black ladies that they were hired. They did the work in the kitchen, they did all the food and everything, and went there every Wednesday night for dinner. And I think it was $1.50. It was a donation. You didn't pay for the food, you gave a donation for the food.
Well, that covers the food costs. But Potter's Clay does that. And one thing that the state says is don't do what someone else is doing. Do something different.
Yeah.
And Potter's Clay gave us free meal every day.
Jackson House is right over here.
Jackson House
Yeah.
is it.
But I'm trying to think of a way that,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The reality,
Here in Hot Springs, I've got a notebook in the office that has 25 or 30 different ministries that are going on in the Hot Springs area, downtown particularly, that meet those needs. So the idea is not reinvent the wheel, come up with
I
something
think
that,
the need's going to increase far
Yeah,
beyond what it is.
probably so.
now.
but there again, the question mark for us is, this is not years down the road, this is months down the road, that we're going to be faced with a decision that is going to be a tough one to make.
I don't have to use my language.
what?
I think I'm good.
What?
Well, if you get to the point you can't even insure this place, then
I have a question, because we have people that visit here quite often and then they don't come back. Do we follow up with feedback at all from them? Because they usually fill out a card, because I think that's what honestly is lacking. For one, and this is nothing against everybody in this room, but you walk in and it's honestly a bunch of elderly people and you don't see a bunch of young life, and kind of like he said, people want to be entertained almost, and it's hard because it's a certain type of person that has to walk in this building to say, I'm going to go here because I like this church and the people in here and stuff like that, that type of thing. They just see that maybe this church is going to diminish because there's not saying this, but there's not per se life, in it. So as you're saying, the youth groups and stuff like that, what can we do to help that? It's not really presented to them, which causes a problem, and I think that's going to be like that no matter where we go, though, because you have to have what the people want for them to come in. So, Kayla and I have talked about this. This is actually a conversation we have a lot, and Jillian, and we come together and talk about this. Would there be a chance that we could have, like most of the other churches are doing, a separate service going on that was more contemporary to meet those people that like that, and then have your traditional church? I know a lot of places are doing that now, because some like to go to traditional, some like to go to contemporary, and just see if there's any members in our church and see if that makes a difference. It's a short period of time to try to do that, but I really think if there's not something like that in the church, I don't think even going to a new location is gonna expand anything out that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're just bringing the same people with us and not more people through.
One
you know.
thing that has to be decided is, do we want to keep functioning as Central Baptist Church? Regardless of where we are,
Yeah.
here or somewhere else. That has to be resolved. Now, part of the problem we've had, the church has had over a number of years, is that they've had a significant exodus of people that have impacted the church to the point we are now. That's just kind of the life of a church. You have ups and downs, you have things that happen and people leave. But we have to decide, our group here, and we've had, we've got 39 or 40 that are, is that 39 or 40
Active people?
active people?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that counting the kids or that just the adults?
Adults.
Okay. That's enough to make a new start. But you have to say, do I have the energy? Because it's work. That's one thing in what you're referring to, looking at how to reach people. When visitors come here, they see a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of work to get this going, this change, that change. And some have been in church a long, long time, and they're wanting to sit on the back pew and do nothing for 10 or 15 years because they've been busy their whole life. I understand that. We've seen it happen, and it's just one of the facts and realities. But if we've got a group that is committed to staying and being Central Baptist Church wherever, and I tried to think, well, how would we change our name if we really located it? And I'd say, well, Central Baptist on certain street, Central Baptist in a certain location. That keep that, even thought about it driving in this morning. I can get Bill that says, can we take the old building and have it kind of like a shadow in, and then a new picture of a new location? Can that be worked out somewhere to keep our history a part of who we are? But we're just in another location. Now, all that,
You didn't answer what they were talking about,
Well,
but
something else about, as far as the body of believers, the demographics of our culture and our country have changed dramatically. I mean, I'm a baby boomer. Statistically, this is a fact. In the United States, there are more people living over the age of 65 than there are children under the age of 5. We are procreating in this country already now 1.6 children. What influx of people are going to replace this body of believers? What age group is out there right now that would be drawn in to a body of believers like this? So I hate to think of it like marketing or.
Well, that's what I was saying, you have to be competitive. I hate to say the word, but you're gonna
Exactly.
have to be competitive with other churches.
that is true. We do have to be competitive.
So
Yeah.
what
I don't like that, but that's.
what market
yeah.
share, basically,
Yeah.
something we can relate to as a capitalist culture and society. What market share of people are we looking
Are we
to
trying to
draw in
take? Yeah.
that will fill their
Okay.
needs?
I don't know how to answer that
Yeah.
question.
it's very simple. It's up to the body of the church as to what kind of music they want.
Well, true.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
that,
when you think about it, in the Bible, it doesn't have music. And if you're in Africa, they use drums and they dance. I mean, our missionaries, that's what they do.
yeah,
If you're in Mexico, they use their guitars.
okay.
I mean,
But
it
we're in
just-
Hot Springs.
We're in Hot Springs. And in Hot Springs, the younger people want a more
What?
Some of the energy.
lively.
Play banjo. French service. We don't want the rock and roll.
Yeah.
We tired of it in the First Baptist Church.
Okay.
And
It is,
it's a two
that's the
services,
reason
just
why I
for
wanted
your
us to
system.
sit down and talk. The fact that we can sit down and talk without strangling anybody in the process.
But I don't think we need two services, we can have a mixed
We
service,
can.
can't we, to start with? Potentially, but
Yeah.
you're gonna
Okay,
find potential no, right?
I'm not taking away from
Yeah.
Brother David right here. I'm gonna call on a few people. Sheila?
Yes, I just wanted to comment about the music. Diane, she can tell you that I've been talking about getting the younger people to play handbells. And it's hard because they don't come. I mean, when can we do it? They're either in school or they're not coming to church on Wednesday night. I mean, when I played handbells, Patsy can tell you, we played on Wednesday night. We came before the service and we practiced 30 minutes and we were able to perform in the church. Right, Patsy? Can you hear me, Patsy?
She didn't bring her hearing aid today.
I know you're saying things important.
Yes, and you know, we have chimes, and they're just sitting there not being used. And I love handbells. Patsy can tell you, she loves handbells. And, you know, I mean, I wouldn't even care if we had adults, but I want to do things for the young people, and I think that they would love to play handbells, and they would want to enjoy playing them like Patsy and I did. But we've got to bring them. I mean, I have one person in Sunday school since I've been teaching Sunday school. I did have two, Joe's grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever, came. I don't know, you know, I've talked to them. I don't know what the situation is at home, but, you know, we have kids, but I don't ever see anybody. Aubrey is the only one that shows up on Sunday for Sunday school church. And, you know, we have a good time. She does her little drawing works and we do the lesson and she talks with me. I mean, she's very vocal and I enjoy having her, but it would be nice to have others. But that's the thing is that I'd like to get together a chime group for the young people. And, you know, Christopher, your son, your kids, Ashley, you know, I mean, I think that they would enjoy it and I think it could be a lot of fun, but, you know, we've got to have them and plan a time where everybody can get here and come. Because when you play chimes or handbells, one person out is very much missed and it's hard. You know, you don't have a substitute. So I just wanted to interject that because I'd like to do that if I had a little support.
One of the things I'm going to say on that, and I took the mic away from Brother David, this way he can interject a lot more. And then my daughter wants to say something too. I remember growing up, Jim can attest to this, the parents brought their kids whether they liked to come or not. I was told I was coming on Sunday mornings, I was told to come on Wednesday night. So us that had children, if they know they have to come, they're going to come irregardless. We have a lot of things that are going for our church. We have a potential of handbags. We're opening up a clothing ministry again with two ladies that are going to take care of this. The potential is there. The potential of having two services is also there. But and I'm going to say this, not be a reflection. If we have two services, one contemporary and one traditional, and with only 40 people here, we're going to have 15 in one and 25 at the other, it's going to lose the effect of.
If you do them at the same time, but if you
Yeah,
do them at
most
separate
of them
times,
do
you
it
can attend both of
separate.
them.
Yeah.
No argue with me on that. I agree with that. It's just like drive by and see First Baptist Church. They have a
Right.
service first, They
Yeah.
have Sunday school, and then they have the other church.
Well, we drove by one church, they have 3 services,
Yeah.
and I was
So
like,
there's a
that's,
lot.
that's
Yeah.
lots.
But
All right.
running.
Yeah.
Sarah?
And you
Sarah,
have families,
if you wanna
you have
speak.
families of different ages and different interests. If you have teenagers and they have to, if they're going to the contemporary and adults prefer the traditional, then it's kind of splitting the family up, and also it's stretching the day out for the both services.
But they didn't start
Okay.
that.
All right.
That's the thing about it. They
Okay.
didn't start with 30 people or 40 people and 2 services.
Yeah, and this is, you know, a lot of things that we're talking about right now, we're bringing up. And I'll say this before my daughter throws something at me. You know, we're letting the membership know what us as deacons and Brother David and Diane have seen for the last 24 months. The money has been going out a lot faster than tithes have been coming in. And we'd much rather let y'all know now instead of walking in here February and saying, guess what, we have no money left. And everybody's going to say, well, why didn't we know about that before? Well, this is the before. Sir?
I got a couple of questions. One, you said that the insurance is involved. How long is that gonna take?
Okay, all
The
right.
reason why I'm asking this is if they sit on it, the church is done. We
So-
don't have enough time.
Sarah's asked about the insurance claim that we have done. This past Wednesday night, 3 days ago, Matt, who works for, I can't think of the name of the construction company,
Exterior, interior.
they have suggested that our church hire legal lawyers to pursue this. We did. Matt told us that the company he recommended, which is something out of Dallas, they only deal with high-end insurance claims. Once we voted Wednesday night to pursue this. They will, in the next 60 days, turn in a claim against the insurance company. At that time, the insurance company has 6 months to reply on that.
But that's 6
Well,
months.
I know, hold on, there's more to it. If during that time they agree to it, then they have to give our church half of the claim up front.
Okay, that's great.
And they also have to pay a 12.5% interest fee on starting this week until the time that we get a check. I know it's a roundabout way of answering your question, because you're talking about 6 months down the road that they have to respond to that.
Okay.
What does the
12.5% on the total claim.
What's the lawyer, what's that cost?
The lawyer fee is added in to the claim.
How much is that, the amount of our claim?
Our claim, we haven't said. Now, according to Matt talking to us, Matt says it's somewhere in the $4 to $5.5 million. And in that claim that we are done, that includes the legal fees as well as the fees for the construction company. In other words, we have no out-of-pocket money from our church. It will all be paid by the insurance company. They don't, the lawyers and the construction company do not get a dime from our church. They get it from the lawsuit. We'll have a line item of the legal fees and a line item of the construction.
That's if it goes through, right? That's only if it goes through and you win the claim with the lawyers. What happens if you don't, though? That's the question.
He said there's a 95%, they have a 95% rate of, yes. Now, we've already got something from the insurance company. The insurance company offered us $10,000 to fix our problems.
into the 37
No.
house?
They said that we only had $10,000 worth of damage. Matt says we have between $3.5 and $5 million of damage.
Aren't they 10,000
What
a
they're
tile?
seeing and what the
Yes.
insurance is.
Larissa?
Yeah, right.
On a unique AG building. Is it state or town can help us?
No, we are not a historical building.
You know, historical?
No,
Well,
I agree.
If you register as
It's not historical.
Okay,
It's not in the
that,
registry.
what Larissa's asking is, since we're 100 years old, should our building be considered a historical building? It would be if we filed registration with the federal government.
When you do
Right.
that.
Then that opens up a whole new can of worms.
You'll understand that it takes 6 months and they can deny it.
and if they agree.
Right.
You have to raise half the money to restore.
Correct.
And then you can't do anything to it without
Getting
permission.
it.
And then,
Yeah.
and you
I worked
can't
in
make
the
grants.
historic
Did y'all,
restoration.
yeah, did y'all hear that? If we go through historical records, it takes up to 6 months for them to agree to it, then we actually have to put up half the money.
Not only that, they can dictate what you do to your building.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
soon you do
Yeah.
it.
And the reason for it, the black, I'll say this black church, I apologize, but the church over there by the convention auditorium, Visitor Chapel did the same thing. They went through the process. The government has held up fixing their dome. They rigged it so it's not fallen in yet, but it's been on hold for 2.5 years while they wait.
That's not something.
Right.
So, all right, Sarah?
Alright, so, just out of pocket, we talked about a lot of fixes. How much would it cost to fix?
That's what it's done.
But no, I'm talking about not just the roof, I'm talking
That's
about
everything.
just like blanket, if we wanted to just spruce it up to fix. Are we talking about like $1 million, are we talking about a couple $100,000?
All right, she's asking how much would it cost for us to fix up this whole facility, interior and exterior, correct?
Say it again. Probably looking
How
at
much
4
is
or
it
5
All right,
million.
the estimate just,
for the roof.
no, the estimate for fixing everything on
Outside and
exterior of our facility is between $4 and $5.5 million.
So what about the interior?
Not, well, the interior will only be if they found out there is water damage from the outside.
We
I
probably
think
want
there is
to
water.
manage
Well,
this.
all right, there's according to Matt, according to Matt, who we hired on the construction, he says, I already know there is water damage.
And it was obvious.
He says until we pull the roof off,
You won't know.
we don't know. But he said that they are putting that as a line item in his, and he says, starting with Thursday of this past week, he has 15 days to give a line item to the law firm.
Alright,
Yes.
then,
What's the value of the building?
All right, the question is, how much is our value of our facility here? When Brotherhood United gave our last estimate that our insurance policy is on is $6.1 million.
So we're looking at 90%.
Now, well, according to Matt, when this building is completely redone on the exterior and fixed, it's gonna go up to probably $8 million on the value of our property. Yes, sir.
I would say, I did look on App Data Scout. The building and
Hold
the
on.
land.
You need to explain that to everybody.
So App Data Scout is the parcel of the lot in the land and combined with the total of the interior of the building as well. We have 52 plus thousand square feet in this downtown area, and it is prime real estate. This is considered a very hot and happening area right now. And yes, if we were to put it on the market, we don't know if it could take a month, we don't know if it could take a year. But I do know that there would be buyers interested.
Okay, one of the things that I want to throw, and this happened to one of our members who passed away lately. Some of y'all know that Ovella Hall, who passed away, had left our church 15% of her estate. Unfortunately, When she passed away, she had a reverse mortgage on her property and house. They had 30 days to pay off the loan. When the loan was not paid off, they took possession of the property in the house. The lawyer helped them out to make sure that no one bid on it for 30 days, in my personal opinion. So they got to sell that. Our church, along with 5 other people that were on that estate of hers, got $0, but the law firm and the reverse mortgage people got all of it. So you never know from day to day. I'm going to add one thing I'll throw, and Brother David knows this, and several other people that have been active in things. One of the things I'll ask you to do when you leave here tonight or leave here this afternoon is remember we're doing what God wants us to do. Secondly, don't go around crying the sky is falling. And the reason for that is we have seen other churches talk about, well, we have financial problem. Nobody wants to join that church then. There's one church in particular right now, they've heard that we're having financial problems, and the feedback back to me was, hey, which one of your members want to join our church? Because your church is failing. It's a reflection when you go around saying the sky is falling. God is watching over us. And I don't know where the windfall's going to come in. I did try to buy a lotto ticket for the $800 million, and unfortunately I wasn't the winner. But I think Brother David would accept my check if I gave 10% of that winning. But I'm joking because God wants us to smile and love. And as I said a while ago, we're trying to let y'all know what's going on instead of y'all finding out at the last minute, oh, we had to lock the doors because we had no more money to pay utilities. You know, and I'm not up here, and David's not up here, Brother David's not up here, Jim's not up here to say, you know, we're hurting for money. That's a bygone conclusion that we've lost a lot of tithers that have died in the last 5 years. And it does hurt. We don't have we have some new members here. You know, I remember when Bobby and Larissa joined, and that had been but 6-7 years ago. You know, Ashley and Jesse, Carlton, and that other girl that he loves. You know, we got Michael. You know, we have Maxine now that comes that move, and we got Linda right here. We have half our crowd right here had joined in the last 6 years. Hold up.
Go ahead.
Clara, first. Time's up, sorry.
About 25 years ago, I joined this church, and I was a Methodist. But anyway, now I'm Baptist. But back then, I was 25 years younger, and I had a lot of vibrant, energy. I did all kinds of things. I helped pastor. We was Women on Mission. Remember all that? And we worked and worked, and I, unfortunately, COVID hit me, and I've had it 4 times, okay? But before then, I drove, I skipped, I did all kinds of things. I was 5 feet below Lincoln. But things happened to me. But what the point I'm making is, from around 25, 26 years ago, I see quite a difference. Not just because of me with my health problems. God is taking care of that, but what's happened with the people in the church. I mean, they've gotten older and different things. I cannot do what I used to do. I'd love to do all kinds of things in this church. And I can do what I can. But it's just part of life. But I know one thing. That every step of the way, God is present. And He'll never leave you. Unless we push Him away. And we don't want to push the Lord away because He waits patiently in line for us. If that wasn't the case, I'd be 6 foot under either in Oak Fire Cemetery in Bismarck, or, that's where my father's buried, or at Godly Cemetery.
Well, and I
See,
looked
so
up,
this is the things that I'm gonna say. I see the changes that are happening. I can't do much more than you, but that we're gonna have these perceptions of change.
yeah, well, and that's one thing
Whether we
that,
want to or not. we
you know,
got to change.
let's look at, actually, as Brother David here, 6-8 months, well, longer than that,
Yeah, it's been like almost 2 years.
that she'd like to start a children's church. And now we got 8 to 10 every Sunday that we didn't have 3 years ago. I counted it up today in our nursery. We had 9 kids in the nursery today. We didn't, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, I was considered one of the youth. That.
By whom?
By me. I had hair, but it wasn't as gray. All right. But the thing about it is we have a lot of people that want to do. Linda has told us we're going to do the clothing ministry, and we're going to have that again. This is what we're doing. We are being a factor in this community and a factor in our own lives. Brother Dave was saying we just have to be realistic that we're either have to move our church somewhere else and sell this facility and hope we have enough money left over. We're going to have to ask people to come to our church and be an active part in our church. And maybe they would love to give tithes. I don't know if y'all noticed that. We had a couple visit our church today. You know what they told me? We all introduced ourselves. We ran over and threw them on the ground and stomped on them a couple times because we were happy they were there. They're actually visiting churches in this area. And they said, the gentleman told me, we visited First Baptist Church, the big church across the street from the track. We don't want to go back there. It's too big for us. We're nobody. We're a number. And we want to be at a...
I said, we're a small church, but we're friendly. And the lady, she almost said, we'll be back. It's Michael and Debbie is their name.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And then there's another couple that came in late that sat behind y'all. And
She came on the 100th.
and she came for the hunt. And she said that I used to come to this church back when the Daniels were going here. And she says, I'm back in Hot Springs, so I came back to this church. I'm not going to use the word potential. I was told years ago that means that I'm failing in what I'm doing. And people say, oh, you just have potential to be good. Well, they're basically telling me I wasn't doing good. So I'll say this way. Our church is not dead. God has a purpose for our church. And I'm praying, I'm hoping that it's because we're still here at this location. I'm hoping that the insurance claim we have will fix all our problems and we won't lose any money. Matt, I'll tell you this much, in our meeting we had with Matt was so glowing about how it's going to happen, and he said certain things that we all sort of looked at each other and said, well, that would be nice, but it's not, we're going to put it in the bank. But he thinks that after our claim is said and done and everything's been fixed, we're going to have a lot of money left over that's in our pockets. Because he says that if he plans on, and I'll say this one, he said if it's going to cost $80,000 to fix the windows out here, and the windows we get in are not $80,000, and the labor wasn't equal to $80,000, and there's $10,000 left on it, well, I get 10%, the lawyers get 10%, and you get the other 80%. So, am I putting that in the bank account yet? No. But is there a possibility that some of the funds will be ready afterwards? Yes.
But in time.
But we don't know. That's the whole thing. The insurance company would like for this to be dead in 5 years and not worry about it. Matt said that the company, that the law firms that we've hired through him will not let it go past 6 months.
That's why my biggest concern is that they'll approve it or whatever, but it'll be just right after we're washed out, or.
And I agree.
It won't be in time.
I agree with you, and like Sarah just said too, 6 months is 6 months from here.
Yeah, and honestly, we won't have a different building at that point in time. So, realistically, what we need to think about is what are we going to do at that 6
Yeah.
month, because
And that's true.
Let's-
And one other
yeah.
thing is that insurance that happens down the road, whether we're in this facility or not, must be used for this facility.
yeah.
And that's it.
I mean, but even without that claim or anything, unless by the grace of God, we have a whole lot of money just come in the next 6 months, realistically, we need to make a plan to either hold services somewhere else
And,
during that time that we can sublet, or,
well, that's what Brother David's trying to
that's
let us,
what we gotta-
let everybody know in advance
Yeah.
right now.
I mean, that for sure, I mean, the way it sounds, that for sure is gonna happen. Okay, I mean.
So are we, he was talking about missionaries and mission funds and stuff. So we're still putting out a lot of money to missions. Are we receiving any money to help us from
Ask
missions?
missions.
Yeah, like
Well, like, all right.
is
for-
anybody helping our church
Okay.
from other churches?
For instance, if you look on our budget that you have there, our budget for giving to the New York missions is $250 a year, every 12 months.
Okay, so it's not a large portion
No,
of it.
no.
But are we getting any back?
No, we're not getting.
No, we're not,
Is
we're
any
not.
church
already-
supporting
We
us?
haven't been asking for it.
Can we ask for
Our-
that?
That's, that's a good question. To ask that question is a good question, because I honestly don't know. Brother David would have more of that because he's been active with the state level. I'm never,
The money
I'm,
we're sending money there, can we either stop sending them money or can somebody send us money?
well, let me say it this way. Our biggest concern,
That person.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
our biggest concern we have right now is not on our day-to-day. We got hit because of our insurance for this building. That's what's deleting our funds massively. You know, $20,000 a year for the last 3 years, now it's $26,490.
Interest rate.
Yeah, but that's everybody. It's just that we don't have the general funds available.
And
Is it
another
possible
random
to
question.
contact the Attorney General's office and see if they would start an investigation to find out if that's price gouging? Because
It's not a price gouging, it's across the board.
Yeah.
It was, they
Yeah.
said,
Mine
when
went up
they,
to 10
when
months.
they do it, raise the rate, it has to be the whole of an area code, not just isolated.
Not just picked up one person.
Everybody rates went up.
Our house rates
All right,
went from
Sarah?
8
So, to kind of ask, what Ava was talking about a little bit, would and could there be something to do like a GoFundMe with the Baptist churches in Arkansas to see if they would be willing, through our insurance, to help us just a little bit? I'm not talking about like a plethora of money, but just to help maybe get us through the process of the insurance, to maybe prolong a teeny bit until that process is done, and maybe after that to whatever else happens, like if we decide to sell the building or if somebody wins the lottery or whatever have you. Is that, right, is that an option that we could even put forth, since it is a nonprofit and I know we cannot do anything for ourselves?
So we turn that around. Could it be a profit organization? No, we don't want to do that.
The answer, to your question, that's a great question. The answer is,
Yeah, they got
if we
taxes.
don't want to be a church anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. It
Yeah.
was just that.
Yeah, I don't know, I hadn't looked into that. The sad part about that is that our church is not the only one in the state.
Right,
There's numbers of others that are dealing with the same sort of stuff.
right.
Some in our neighborhood, Hot Springs, have already closed the doors.
Right.
Others are just like us, and we decide, right, I mean, we're close enough to it now that we see it. So next year, there's probably gonna be fewer churches in Hot Springs because they closed the doors.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like that we don't wanna close the doors.
I agree.
I mean, we could still function here. The money that comes in now takes care of lights, water, gas, all our utilities, right?
No, fair. It's just the insurance we have a problem.
No, we're short every month, just needing
Everywhere.
regular bills.
Oh, regular bills, okay, I thought it was just the insurance.
The insurance has put a dent in it, but
Okay.
we're short every month.
So because we spend so much on the conditioner every stupid summer.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, large chunk.
What's the possibility of mothballing 75% of the church and just utilizing 25% of the church?
Why are you
Down
doing
on
that?
expenses.
Well, we,
Well, I know, but I mean, even the sanctuary.
that is a definite option for us.
I think it's cozy.
No.
That's our definition. It's cozy, where it's all scattered out, using the
Yeah.
lights, the air conditioning. Just shut that down except for special occasions.
Okay, and we are prepared for that. That is some of the conversations that, the reason why I wanted us to meet this afternoon was to let you know that being between a rock and a hard place, they're closer together now than they've ever been before. And the Lord is going to have to intervene. How He's going to do it, I don't know.
What about taking out an advertisement in the paper to offer a consolidation of all the churches in the area that have that affiliation, Baptist or whatever, that would come together?
Well, so
The only
we-
problem I could see would be like a clash with leadership.
Well, that's who's gonna be in charge.
But I'm saying that we could bring the body of Christ together in this large building that we have, and the other buildings that would shut down, they're gonna shut down anyway if they're in financial straits. To bring the body together, advertise to bring the body of Christ together in this location.
It sounds like a good idea, but it doesn't work with Baptist churches.
Well, because of
Because
the
of the-
leadership, because
Not
We
so much
discussed-
leadership.
I remember.
Now,
They don't
what
want
I,
to get there.
what I wanted
Yeah.
to do this
Giving up control of what you're,
is
yeah.
Yeah, because they've all shut up.
get you thinking about
They don't want to
what we can do. The other thing, the unknown, is how the Lord is going to handle this. And how is He going to help us continue to serve. That was one of the things to consider. What if the Lord's will for us as a church is to glean what resources we can from the sale of this building and start over new. We'd still be the same church, but we'd be in a new location, new opportunities and such like that. That's one of the things that happens with the state convention. These new startups are restarts, revitalization efforts. They just get the ball rolling real quick because it's something different.
Well, it's also, it's a fact of life. I mean, we've been here 25 years, and over the time where we live, we've seen, just like you see going up and down Central, there are homes that used to be homes 50 years ago. Now they're lawyers' offices, eye doctor, they went from private property to commercial property.
Yeah.
The location of this church is not filling the need of a community, of a population around it that's going to fill the pews, where the reality of the situation, this body of believers is the church, not the building.
Exactly.
And us selling the church, letting the state take it over and moving this body of believers to a small facility that meets its needs, that can grow from that, and it better services the community in which it's placed. There is no lifeblood around here that's going to fill this church unless somebody drives here from 10, 15, 20 miles away.
It's okay, and even we can save our name.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
will go
yeah.
to save
Next
our
question is
name.
where, though?
Let it be central, but outside of the country,
And-
it's okay.
And I'm sure anybody's been in this church for 2, 3, and 4 generations.
Yes.
Well, it's going to easily say, well, it's easy for you to say because we were born and raised here when we were children. I'm 66. I put 25 years of my life in this church. When I came to Hot Springs, I was looking for this kind of church. It had nothing to do with this building. It had the way the church was built. We visited first. We went all the way out to Roy. I mean, we came here for a couple of years, and the church I got tired, to be honest with you, I got tired of this church for about a year because everything was around the choir. I was in Sunday school and I was chomping at the bit wanting to learn the Bible study, and everybody started looking at their watch. Hey, come on, hurry up, we got choir practice. It irritated me to death. I said, I'm done with this. I want to go to a church that Jesus. So we drove all the way to Royal for a year. But the church went through its changes and we started getting back into it. So, we go through changes and evolution. I mean, it's a wonderful building. It's we celebrate the 100-year anniversary. But can we fill the pews to sustain an edifice this size?
That's one thing I think each
Well,
of us
And
could
look
do,
at
we
the
could
era in
purpose
which
to
we're living
do.
in. This country is going down where everybody's economics
Is to
is going to
make
get worse.
Make a decision,
not better over the next
bringing
10 years.
somebody in church next week. Make a decision.
Well, and that's what I was getting ready to say. Our biggest goal we should have right now is find somebody that's not going to a church, ask them if would you like for me to come and pick you up on the way to church? You don't know until you ask. And the hardest thing you can do is not asking them, is
I don't know.
making a decision for them to say no because you don't want to do it. Like I said, Kayla and Linda getting ready to start the clothing ministry back up. That is going to feed the community.
We're the only one, I think, that has a free, or had a free clothing.
And we still will.
There's another one that has a clothing ministry, but they charge for it.
Yeah. I like the idea of Sheila getting a bell choir going, whether it's adults, juniors, mixed. If I knew how to read music, I'd probably do it. But she saw me work for 3 months trying to hit a note, and I never hit a note. I was
I was taught to play piano, and I do know, but I have to figure it up. I mean, I can't look at the note and know that that's, whatever. I mean, I know middle C, but that's about all I can do. But I'm willing, if they want to play chimes or handbells, I'm willing to be there in front of them and get the music out and play so that we can play and y'all can enjoy the
All right,
music.
Jim, you had your hand up.
Because that's one thing we are missing is music. We don't have a choir every Sunday and special music. John, the preacher, I think, sang today. And, we need. And Dave over there, he plays, the guitar? We don't get to hear him very often.
It's not that I don't want to, sometimes I just don't feel like it's as welcome as piano.
Madge, she plays beautiful music. We just need more music in the church, like Ashley said.
What I'm gonna say is just my opinion. Not worth much. All we've talked about in here today, we've talked about it for the last 50 years. We skipped 2 generations. My daughters and my grandchildren. How many daughters and grandchildren do we have in the church today? Bills? I was called by the deacons about 1989 to take over as chairman of the stewardship committee. Primarily, and I don't even remember who was heading it, but primarily because our preacher was intimidating, and I'm not easily intimidated. Our biggest problem and what we've got to look at, where's our fire? What's the first thing we need to do? The first thing we need to do, if you got a business that's losing money, what department has caused it all? Or is it all over? But you've got to make some hard, tough decisions. I've had businesses that were very, very successful. I've had businesses that I lost big time. I won more than I lost. It's hard to bite the bullet, but we can't plan 3 months from now. We can't plan 6 months from now. We got to plan, do something this month. So what do?
get rid of everything that you can't afford. We need to get this insurance going. We will, in all probability, our church is gonna be closed before we get a settlement from this insurance company. We may be able to start again, I don't know. But right now, we don't need to look too far in advance. We need to cut everything we can cut. In the past, we have cut, what do they call it, Diane, what we give every month, every year, or to, what is it? We need to file this claim. Hopefully, we're gonna get some money. I can guarantee you, if we go to court, we'll win. No one likes an insurance company. You cannot get 12 people on a jury that hadn't been shafted. You may not get one, I don't know. Every time I have a claim, it's denied. I've had to pay premiums while I was still digging on getting a settlement. Find out where we're going. I proposed this in Deacon's meeting, didn't go over really good, but it is a movement we're probably gonna have to take. If I get this claim going, cancel the insurance. Or, to make it more realistic, you say they offered us 10 grand?
I had, Matt said that.
Huh?
Matt said that.
10 grand, okay. So we can take that 10 grand and pay insurance.
And pay the insurance.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
What a deal that is. So we're shooting craps. Okay? I'm used to that. When it says you shake these bones. Listen, we're trying to educate everyone here to the situation that we're in. And since I started this 1988 and 1989, I could see the trend coming right then and mentioned it every business meeting. You could talk to half of the people that were at the business meeting 2 days later, say, well, what do you think about the shape or money that the church is in? Well, I don't know. Are we having trouble? Yeah, we've been having trouble. What has saved us till now? Tom Daniels donated a lot of money, and he wanted to do a life. What is it?
Yeah, Life Center.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't afford it,
No.
and then he graciously let us use that money for expenses. So this corner out here, you say this is prime land? What is this land worth? I sold that corner over there for $40,000. I tried everything to get him up to 50. We sold this lot over here for $40,000. What do you think this lot would bring if somebody wanted to tear the church down and put something up here? You got to have something to put on property before you spend your money. It's got to have a return to it in some form or fashion. And if it doesn't fly, you chuck it and you go find something else. So, I know it's a bad deal if you have to cancel your insurance, but our primary purpose right now, stay here as long as we can. Hope that we get a settlement. Hope that the Lord takes mercy on us and helps us. I told them in Deacon's meeting, if you want to make a fast, bold move, we got about, how much, 39,000?
No, you have $30,400.
30,000?
And it's gonna go fast.
Give me that 30,000, I'll go to the casino this afternoon. And I'll bring you either double or nothing.
I know how to make a small fortune on the stock market. You start out with a large fortune,
Yeah.
All of this that we're talking about is great, but we've talked about it before, forever and ever and ever, and we don't get it done. Little bitty churches that in the past have had no one, they're bigger than we are. Everyone is bigger than, but we're not the Lone Ranger, are we? Every church out there is hurting in some form or fashion. So, we're between a rock and a hard place. Decision-making time, bite the bullet and shoot craps and hope you're on the winning end of it.
I see two options. I mean, how, the church is on life support, okay? Think of it like a human body. We're on life support. We have a choice. We can continue to watch it die, or we can put a tourniquet where it will do the best good right now. Like I said before, the only two options I could see would be, starting today, we cease all services, shut the church down completely, so there's no more expenses going out, to use whatever money remaining right now to do nothing, pay insurance premiums until the final settlement is solved one way or the other with the insurance company. That would be the ultimate. The other thing would be turn off everything. Apollo 13, folks, all over again, Apollo 13. Shut down everything in this building except for the upper fellowship hall and the two offices upstairs. And at least that's not going out anymore.
How
Well,
would
I was gonna say, one of the biggest things that costs we have is air conditioner, and we're about 30 days not using the air conditioner anymore in the sanctuary. And that's a big cost, but the whole thing is everybody needed to know up front. Everybody now knows we're all on the same page. Remember, when we pray at our church on there, when you see someone that you know that is not attending a church, ask them, would they like to come and visit our church? Pick them up. Drive them here. Talk. The biggest thing you can do is not say a word to anybody about, hey, are you a sinner? No, you say, would you like to come to a church that would love you, that you can love? That's the biggest thing we can do, is invite people, ask people to come. And my last thing, like I said earlier today, please don't go out and say, oh, our church is getting ready to close because we have no money. It's already being said out there that we're getting ready to close our doors because we have no money. And that is not a positive. We can't invite people in if they, oh, I heard your church is closing the doors.
Wants to get on a second shift.
Yeah, who wants to do that? So take the time to pray. Take the time to invite someone to church. And even if they're not wanting to come and they have some kids, bring the kids to church. Y'all know when children come, their parents or grandparents follow. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to close by yielding the floor to Brother David.
Okay. This was an information meeting. We felt like this is your church. You love this church. You're invested in it. And we wanted you to be aware. The thing that we have to depend on the Lord to use us together as a body, to speak to us so that we move together as a body in our decisions. I just imagine whatever the Lord does, we're just going to say, wow, only the Lord could do that. It wasn't how smart and crafty we were, is what the Lord did. And so that's what I'm looking for. But anyway, I feel confident that we want to keep Central Baptist Church functioning and surviving however we can survive, and be a place of ministry here. And we just have to follow the Lord's instructions on that and trust Him. But Fran and I are in it for the long haul. Anyway, you know,
You can't laugh, I mean, come on.
We've seen churches that we never thought would fold and cease to function, but we've seen them. We've seen other churches that look like they were just gonna turn into a pile of dust and blow away, and yet they're still working and still serving and still doing, and that's what we can do. We still can serve and do and minister. Well, I just want you to know what we're facing financially concerning the building and concerning the claim that's been made against the insurance company that is in process. And so just be aware. I appreciate you being here. And Diane and I decided on smoking in style, so y'all can pat us on the head, I guess. And say
I think there's a lot left over.
there is, and we're probably going to do some of that Wednesday night. So anyway, Wednesday night we pick back up in our study in the minor prophets. Micah is next one, I think chapter 3. And it's a good fellowship. Normally we have around 20 or so. We've had a little flux in and out because of some health issues and such and some other stuff. But anyway, I appreciate y'all. I really do. I've bragged on our church to some other guys. I said, one of our ladies came up to me, it's been months ago, now it's longer than that now, and says, could I start a children's church? Well, yeah, I'm sure you can. Was I that excited about it?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay. We just need a few more people, really, that have the heart you have to want to see the Lord bless this church and yet still ministry and still serve. But it's hard. And you run into people, they want to be involved as long as it's not very hard to do. They want easy. There's nothing easy about this one. This is just a lot of work and a lot of hard work, but the blessings are great. And I've seen the Lord do some stuff you think that'll never happen. Boom, it does. God can do the things that only God can do. So anyway, I'm glad you came, and I hope you have thoughts. Give your deacon a call. Their phone numbers are listed right now. They might be unlisted by the end of the week, I don't know, but they are in the newsletter. And if you have a question or say, hey, what about this? Share it. Call me. Call Diane. You do better calling her because she answers her phone mostly and her texts. But I just wanted you to know where we were, okay? All right, let's pray together and we'll go. Father, thank you for a time to sit down and fellowship and enjoy one another's company, and Father, to look at circumstances and situations. And Lord, we look through the last 2,000 years, and this is not the first time church has had difficulty, and it won't be the last. And Father, I just pray you give us wisdom and understanding and help us to just follow your leadership. And Father, that we would be faithful in all things to bring honor and glory to your name. Pray you bless our church and bless us still, that we might glorify your name. In Jesus' name we pray.